Welcome back to Raw Truth, Stories of Female Infidelity. I'm your host, Rebecca Adams. Before we dive in, I want to say a quick thank you. We truly would not have a podcast without your incredible support and your stories. If you are an unfaithful woman or a man who has been betrayed, please know that you can submit your story completely anonymous on our website at rawtruthpodcasts.com. You can also find the link to subscribe to our Patreon right there on the website, and currently we have a free 7-day trial available, so you can check that out. Today, I'm sharing an exclusive Patreon episode featuring Dylan. As I mentioned in Heather's update, my husband and I actually met up with Dylan during our trip to Tennessee in April of this year. His story gives you a raw look into exactly where the men are emotionally when dealing with female infidelity. And with permission from Dylan, I can stream this for everyone to hear. Since this episode first streamed on Patreon, time has gone by and Dylan wanted to share even more. He has since written an updated version that goes much deeper into his story. The brand new in-depth update will be available exclusively on Patreon this summer. But for now, let's get into today's episode. In early 1992, I met my first wife, Susie, and we married later in the same year. Our son was born the following year in 1993. A couple of years later, she and I divorced. There was a lot of back and forth. It started out, she was the plaintiff. Then she dropped things. Then things went to shit again and I filed. I was able to get residential custody of our son with 51% of the decision-making in the event of a dispute. I met my second wife, Marie, the day after Christmas in 1996. Shortly after we met, around the end of January of 1997, Marie began acting distant. I suspected she was seeing someone. We broke up and I began seeing my ex-wife Susie again. Then, in March of the same year, I found out that Marie was pregnant. I didn't believe it was mine because her sister was doing all the talking. In April, I was hired as a lineman for Bell South in Chattanooga. It was a temporary position. In August, I had the episode with my father. I was living with my parents, and he didn't like me seeing Susie. He told me to get out of the house, so I moved back to my house in Knoxville. I ended up commuting 95 miles one way to work. In September, I applied for a transfer to Dyersburg to get a full-time regular position as a lineman. Just a little side note, Dyersburg is where Patsy Cline died. Her plane took off from the Dyersburg airport and crashed shortly after. In that same month, Marie gave birth to our daughter. I remarried Susie a couple of days after that. We sold the house and moved to Dyersburg. Early in 1998, Susie started seeing a man she met through her job. It was March when Susie moved in with this man. So at this point, I am now alone with our 4-year-old son. I was able to transfer to Dayton, which is less than 20 miles away from my hometown. My son and I loaded the U-Haul and returned to Rea County. Dayton is where the Scopes Monkeys trial was held. It was a teacher that taught evolution. My hometown is in Spring City. This is where the bus wreck in 1955 happened. A train hit a bus full of kids. This is why buses stop at railroad crossings. So I arrived back in Spring City on a Saturday night. I went to church the next day and saw Marie and our 7-month-old daughter in the parking lot at the church. Marie had heard I was coming home, so she came there with our little girl. When our daughter reached for me, I knew then she was mine. She wasn't one to be held by men, but babies know. I filed for divorce from Susie and started dating Marie again. I bought a house in October and moved Marie and our daughter in. I planned to move in with my son into the house once we were married. I actually just paid that house off a couple of months ago. Before we were married, there was a huge financial disagreement between my wife and her sister. This led to them not speaking from 1998 till 2004. Basically, my wife sold some property that was in her name, but her sister and husband had been living on it, but they never made any payments. In early 2004, we were invited to a barbecue at her sister's home. This opened the door to make peace. I was against it because I never trusted her sister's husband, but I agreed for my wife's sake. Marie and I married in March of 1999. We had many ups and downs over the next few years. In May 2004, she began having an affair. It may have actually started sooner, but this is what I was led to believe. We had some problems that all seemed to stem from her not getting along with my son from a previous marriage. I had primary custody of him, and interaction with his mother was minimal. I will admit that I was frustrated with the never-ending arguments, and I wished I could have another shot at selecting a life mate. Well, a couple of months later, Marie's niece was graduating. Marie attended, but I stayed home. This is where the initial meeting began. I believe this was coordinated by my sister-in-law Faye's husband, Roy. Actually, my wife used to date this man before she met me. This affair partner is a deputy sheriff, and we will call him Joe. He also worked at the high school as a resource officer. So Marie came home late one night in early June. When she got home, she was kind of nervous and giddy. Her account of her whereabouts sounded quite rehearsed. I knew deep in my gut she had been with another man, but gut feelings aren't evidence. There were little hints that I should have picked up on here and there, but I never investigated. That is, until one day in November, when the phone rang and it was a wrong number. A few minutes later, she suddenly needed to go to the store and buy tampons. When she left and drove down the street and stopped at the stop sign, she turned right instead of left. You see, to get to town, you need to turn left. If you turn right, the road ends at a campground that was closed at the time. My daughter, who was about 7, was watching her drive as she left and became upset when she noticed her turning right. I couldn't leave my daughter alone, but I also had to investigate. I saw her car parked in front of the gate, but I didn't walk past the gate in order to see where she was. I knew what I would find, but didn't want to expose my daughter to that. So, that left me with only circumstantial evidence. What is really bad is that she had the gall to say nothing happened, and she denied there was anyone there, even though the motorcycle was rather loud. I never saw him or the motorcycle, but I know what I heard, and I knew this wasn't an innocent thing. I started to pay more attention and realized now that the things from the past few months were all starting to add up. December 7th, 2004. I waited until she was asleep and I began looking through her car. In the glove box was a year-long date planner. I took it in the house and thumbed through it. I was expecting to find dates tracking her cycles and things like that, but instead I saw things written that made no sense, such as tractor trailer and cemetery. Then I saw one that said, sucked him off. She was actually keeping track of where and when she met him. I was sick and mad and 100 different other things all at once. I went to wake her up. She had set up a twin bed in the back room as we hadn't slept together for a while. I asked her if she needed to tell me anything, and she said no. I said, if Joe wants you, he can have you. That was so difficult for me to say. It was a no-win situation, but to me, it was like they were in on it. It was like I had a kick-me sign on my back, and they let me wear it. We live in a small town, and we are well known. We aren't affluent or influential, but my father was in local politics and also had a high-profile job before retirement. I worked for the same utility company that he retired from. 1 week prior to finding her date book and confronting her, I received a letter. It was very disrespectful to me. It said, "Wake up and smell the coffee. Your whore of a wife is out running around with every man that will talk to her, and you act as if nothing is going on. She is having an affair with Joe. She has been ever since you have been married and dated him the whole time she was expecting. You almost caught them the other week. His motorcycle will go up in those woods. She is most likely with him right now. Don't blow your top and lose your temper if you want to catch them. She lied to you the other week and she will do it again. Act as if you know nothing and stay calm. Listen and pay attention, and you will find out a lot. Check her cell phone numbers because that's how they call on it. She might be smart and delete them now that she almost got caught and might think that you will be watching her. Go to your mom and dad. They know more that they can tell you. Don't be a fool any longer. Get those kids out of that mess." I made my wife call Joe and tell him about the letter. I was hoping for some clues. Maybe his wife got one as well. Yes, Joe was also married. The first thing my wife said to him was, "I got busted." That means she didn't tell him she got caught when I found out. So I went to my parents and told them about the affair, but also found out that they had received a letter, but they received it in November. That meant they knew about the affair a month before I caught her. They didn't tell me, and it hurt me. I understand it was a difficult position for them, but it was like they were in on the secret. It was like them letting me wear the kick me sign. They may have known sooner than November due to living in a small town. The letter said, "I have been trying to decide for the past 6 months if I tell you all what I know about your daughter-in-law. You might already know about it. If not, you should. She is having an affair with Joe. She has been seeing him for a long time, and very often her sister and her husband knows all about it. That's where they see each other a lot. Even when their daughter is there, Joe acts like he comes over to see Roy, but it's not. It's Marie. Joe is a police resource officer at the school. That's why Marie takes the kids to the ball games sometimes. They sit, she is off behind a building with him. Joe drives a truck on the weekends. I don't know the name of the company he drives for. I do know most of the time he goes towards Knoxville or Maryville. Maria's gone on a few trips with him. She goes when Dylan and his son have gone fishing for the day and half the night, and their daughter is with their Aunt Faye, or when he has to work on Saturdays. All she cares about is Dylan working all that overtime and all the money coming in. Marie says she's going shopping a lot and heads towards Knoxville or Harriman. If you think back, I'm sure you can recall several times that she will up and bring the kids over there or to Faye's. Like the Friday night she decided to go to a friend's to spend the night. That should have been a dead giveaway. She went to Nashville and spent the night with Joe. They had planned on staying all weekend over there together, but something came up, so she had to come back home the next day. How many times does she go and spend the night with a friend? Dylan needs to know that she is making a fool out of him and the whole family. He needs to stay calm and act the same as always until he can check around and catch them together. If he gets mad and says something to her, they both will lie about it because Dylan has no proof himself. That's what she said she would do if anyone told Dylan. She knows she is good at lying, and all she has to do is go to bed with Dylan after a month or so, and Dylan will believe her and think everyone else is lying. Dylan needs to check her cell phone when she's not around or when she goes to sleep. They call each other several times during the day, every day. She may delete her calls, but if everyone gives her enough rope, she will hang herself. She says she is too smart for you all. If you want to catch them, everyone needs to act like they know nothing. Go about everyday normal business and work and then backtrack and do the opposite. It may take a few times, but you will. Sometimes she will meet him on the side of the road. Her words, "We do quickies on the side of the road when we only have a few minutes," any way to get it. You have the information now, so do whatever you feel you need to do or how you want to do it. I think Dylan needs to know. He may know and just don't care, surely. He doesn't, and still letting her make a fool of him. I know for a fact several people know. His wife doesn't know, and Dylan sure don't need to say anything to her until he finds the necessary proof with his own eyes, or a picture would be good. She couldn't lie out of it then. Roy and Faye sure won't tell Dylan anything because they hate him. That's why they're helping Marie and Joe out. They would laugh at Dylan to his face. Good luck and God bless. A week before Christmas, and I'm dealing with this. I had plenty to own up to as far as our problems were concerned, but I didn't deserve this. Nobody deserves to be betrayed. I needed her to take the lead on this one. She did buy a book, but it was for me to read. What makes it so hard is I had a high-profile job in a small town. Rumors about her affair with the sheriff's deputy spread like wildfire. Wherever I went, I felt people were looking at me. This is the town where I grew up. I couldn't understand what was wrong with me. Why wasn't I enough? I remember her leaving to run an errand, and I was lying in bed with a .45 trying to get the nerve to pull the trigger. I wanted the physical pain to stop. I wanted her to come home and find what was left of me splattered all over the bedroom. I was trying to think clearly about what to do. Should I divorce her or stay and work on the marriage? If I divorce her, then will I see my daughter less and have to work more overtime to pay the bills and child support? It was so unfair. She made a decision that changed my life, and I had no say in the matter. A divorce will only be a financial burden to me. Divorce is trading one set of problems for another set of problems. If I stayed, then I would have to deal with her affair every day until I was dead. If I remain married, then she basically has gotten away with it. The whole "I have to live with the pain of what I did" is the worst kind of all kinds of bullshit there is. I was totally helpless to do anything to relieve the pain. I wanted to have my own affair. My wife said it wouldn't help anything. All I could see was she didn't want to see me be with anyone else. I told her that she needed to find a girlfriend for a threesome. She never made any real effort to do that, so I began trying to have an affair. I wasn't able to find anyone. This only added to my belief that no woman would want me. The anger of how her decision did this to me was unbearable. I finally did have an affair, and it did nothing to help. The woman was someone I would have never had any interest in anyway. My wife found out and felt she deserved it. Then one day, I met a woman who I truly liked. She was attractive and had a good job. She had no children. That is when I decided to give up and file for divorce. I started seeing this woman secretly while I was making preparations for the divorce in 2006. I made the appointment with an attorney and helped her find a place to rent. She moved out and I felt a huge relief. She would stalk me and interfere with my efforts to date. My first official date after the divorce was final, Marie saw my date and I out and then proceeded to follow us. She began driving recklessly, so I pulled over. She got out and was indescribably crazy. It was a violent, insane type of behavior that I had never witnessed from her before. She even got the license plate for my date's car and had her deputy affair partner Joe run the plate. I was never able to get another date with that woman, and I don't blame her. I dated another woman, and my now ex-wife managed to do something there as well. So I finally gave up trying to date, and eventually I let her come back home. There are so many things that I still don't know. I don't think she is capable of feeling any true remorse. We have never remarried, and we never will. She has a good job that she loves. She was able to come back home in less than 2 years from moving out. The whole thing didn't cost her anything substantial. In fact, her affair made her life better because of the career she now has. So, what did I get out of it? Granted, I did have a revenge fling, but it was nothing positive. I do regret the revenge fling. To this day, I still have mental images of Marie with Joe. It makes sex difficult for me because I can't focus strictly on her. I have to try and block out the intrusive thoughts and mental images. I have the shame that I feel, not only for seeking out another woman to redeem myself as a man, but the shame of the appearance of condoning her actions by letting her come home. The nightmares have dropped significantly. I only have one every 2 or 3 months, but little things she does that mean nothing are triggers for me. If I walk into a room and she turns off her phone, or if she's a little late getting home, I get triggered. If she wants to know where I am or when I will be home, it makes me think she is planning to see someone. The only small bit of satisfaction I got was when I made her call the affair partner's wife and apologize to her, which is more than I ever got. There are many other little things that are collateral damage, but basically her decision ruined my life and caused harm to others. I learned a hard lesson in that I should have been my best for her, instead of trying to change her actions. Maybe this would have never happened if I had taken the lead and concentrated on being a better husband. Infidelity is always the man's fault, at least in the eyes of those who judge. If he cheats, he's a low-life scumbag. If she cheats, then the husband must not be able to meet her needs. The betrayed male loses his identity as a man, and it damages him for life. I truly think my sister-in-law and her husband sent those letters. If it were someone who wanted to tell, then why not just send it to me? Why would someone else speak about Roy and Faye so much? Telling their role in this is absolutely unnecessary. Another reason why I think Roy wrote the letter is because he only went through the 10th grade, thus the horrible grammar. This has been so much to deal with, especially not having anyone to claim responsibility. All I want to know is why, and be able to tell them how much this hurts. My wife doesn't want to believe her family would do this. She is the type that thinks if a problem is ignored long enough, then it ceases to exist. I wish I knew why she wrote down the places and times she met him. I wish I knew how emotionally attached she was to him. If I had a wish, it would be to hear her share her story on your podcast, but that will never happen. I finally got her to tell me why she had the affair. She said she thought that I really didn't care what she did. She felt like my side of the family didn't like her. She also said that she thought my parents showed too much favoritism toward my son rather than our daughter. She continued to see Joe after we separated, so that meant she had a way of using law enforcement to get to me. Joe was also at the school. Cops have the best drugs, and I'm sure some would have found their way to my son's locker. I guess that is part of my anger, and I was trapped. If I went out on my own, those around me would have been hurt. All of the bad stuff was prior to 2013. I became a Christian then. I had grown up in church, but I never really had the experience of truly becoming a Christian. This is what changed my approach to being a husband. After I changed, she changed. We get along pretty well now. We have had some arguments, and the affair always comes up. I still hurt over it. I deal with it every day. She is an administrative assistant in a large construction company. That means she interacts with men and occasionally has to go out of town. This causes a lot of stress to me. There have been a few times I have suspected her seeing someone, but I never found anything. I sent the affair partner Joe a text trying to get some answers. I didn't expect to get far, but maybe he might want to be honest. I wasn't surprised when he lied. He will start out saying he didn't realize she was seeing both of us when she had gotten pregnant. I got her pregnant long after we started dating. The Red Dog game is a little league football game, and Marie's niece was a cheerleader. This is before we were married. Our daughter was 2 years old when we married. Our daughter was in high school when the affair started. Marie lived in the house that he referred to after the divorce. In a reply, you will see how I politely said bullshit to his timeline and account for things. January 31st. This is Dylan. I was hoping I could get you to answer some questions for me. I know it has been a long time, but there are some things that I need to know. Marie's decision to have an affair has basically ruined my life. I need to get to a point where I can forgive so I can finally get some peace with this thing. When I say forgive, I mean you too. If you agree to answer these questions, we can do it face-to-face or over text. It is up to you. I understand if you don't want to answer anything, but please do. There was a lot of other problems that resulted from the affair. What I want to know is the details about the Nashville trip, how long it was supposed to last, and why she returned so early. Did you tell anyone about the trip after the fact? What did Faye and Roy know about the affair? Have you ever been inside my house? Did Marie ever say why she went through with the affair? What did she say about me when you saw her? How many times did she go with you while you were driving the truck on the weekends? Has there been any contact from her since she moved back home? Marie has a problem with being honest. I ask that you help me get past this. Reply, January 31st from Scumbag. First of all, I want to say I'm very sorry for what happened. As a result of that, I lost my wife, house, driving job, and peace of mind. I didn't know until she got pregnant that she was seeing both of us. At that point, we parted ways until one night at a Red Dogs football game, she told me and a couple more officers that you and her were getting a divorce. I never at any point called her. She called me, and at the time it started, she was living up by Roy and Faye in a house on the corner, so I assumed that you and her wasn't together any longer. I don't recall ever going to Nashville with her. As for my truck, she only went with me on one trip to Maryville, Tennessee. Roy and Faye, as far as I know, never knew anything about it. As far as saying anything about you, she never said anything much that I remember. I have tried to forget all of what happened. Too many people were hurt for no good reason. And no, I haven't heard from her since she called my ex-wife. I truly hope that everything works for the both of you, and again, I am very sorry that it ever happened. From me, January 31st. I'm not looking to cause any problems. The reason I am trying to get this information is to first be able to forget. The second reason is someone sent some letters, one to me and one to my parents. Some of the things in those letters contain information that only you, Marie, and I knew. Your answers will also prove or disprove other things that were written. I thought that you may have told Roy about some of the details because I think he is the one that wrote the letters. He had a grudge over Marie selling the land that was bought in her name. Roy put her in bankruptcy and she sold the property, and Roy felt it was his money. Marie and her sister and husband didn't speak until right before their daughter's graduation. But thank you for your time. I guess you are a victim too. I am sorry for your losses. Reply from Scumbag. And I do pray someday you can forgive me for my part, but is understood if you can't. Me replying, I do forgive you. I know it was a long time ago, but if you remember anything, please let me know. Reply from Scumbag, I sure will. Thank you very much. As I look back at my life to about age 21, I see many hard lessons learned. My time with Susie should have prevented me from making the same mistakes. I was terribly naive and was made a fool of, but I handled it better. I think it was because we lived in Knoxville and it wasn't on display in my hometown. Also, I guess I sort of expected that kind of behavior from her. With Marie, I was hurt much more deeply, and that is probably because she meant so much more to me. I gave up trying to make peace in the house. It was a constant balancing act between my son and Marie. I also had to try and anticipate certain issues that could potentially set off things between her and my parents. Mom and Dad tried to be careful around her to prevent fighting between us. They were also careful about our daughter, which Marie interpreted as favoritism between our daughter and my son. I hid behind work and fishing. Note to ladies: a man won't keep playing a game that he can't win. That was the basis of her affair, but I realize now that there were other factors that set in motion. Marie's own parents fought a lot. Less than a year earlier, her father had died. We also were friends with another couple, and somehow the friendship evolved into swinging a couple of times. She and the other woman were friends and worked together. I don't know if this is something that they had worked out or if it originated from the husband. Either way, this may have made the decision a little easier for her to cheat. Not long after the affair started, she took the kids to Florida with another lady and the woman who provided daycare for our daughter and the other woman's kids. The daycare provider had a timeshare. While she was gone, I noticed there wasn't any mail. About midweek, I went to the post office and found out Marie had put a stop on the mail. This is when I found out we had a Discover card. In hindsight, she was engaging in reckless behavior. She went to a couple of sessions with a therapist after I found out, and he diagnosed her as bipolar. She never followed through with any treatment. It made sense to me. It was like she was two different people. A few months later, after I discovered the affair, I had to get some help. I went through a program provided by my employer. I was told by this therapist to see my doctor to get a prescription for antidepressants, and had a session with the therapist once a week for a couple of months. I felt a lot better, but I think this was a mistake. This was like a quick fix, and it taught me how to distract the negative emotions and anger I felt. Really, I was repressing it, and I think this is why it all started coming out like it just happened. About 3 years ago, I started getting triggered, and I noticed my temper was getting shorter. The nightmares started coming back. I researched it and found out that PTSD affects victims of infidelity. I hate to call it that. Our nation's heroes deal with a lot worse than what I have been through. But the anger and hypervigilance described my daily routine. I had also discovered that short-term memory loss is caused by PTSD. I also struggled with self-hatred. All this was further complicated by the late midlife crisis. I started seeing my parents as mortal and people my own age having old people's health problems. I also noticed that I would fight back tears at certain commercials. I don't know where the PTSD stops or where shifting from midlife toward post-midlife status begins. It has been a long time since the affair happened, and I know that I will never get fully past it. She can't change the past, and I can't fix what I did either. I think what's prevented me from moving on was that back in 2013, our daughter was looking at something in Marie's phone and saw some texts. She didn't read them all. My daughter and I have a special bond, and she came to me and told me that her mom was cheating on me and that she had seen some texts. One said that she wished he were under her desk. I have no evidence, but she came up with a story that it was a joke. She didn't know his full name, but the look in her eyes when I told her I knew said enough. Overall, Marie and I get along real well now. She goes to the gun shows with me and I go shopping with her. I even hold her purse while she is trying on something. I have also tried to get her to talk about our future or our past. I wanted to try and get an intimate type of thing going. I was hoping to start over from the ground up. She doesn't open up very well, and that also hampers the healing from the affair. In my mind, it is still going on till I know everything. It's her nature to avoid things and cover up. I've told her that if anything comes out that I don't know about, then that is it. But I also said she has total immunity to disclose anything that I don't have full knowledge of. The only way she can help me is to hurt me. I have to deal with the doubts and basically wallow in what has happened. How can I start over with someone else at this point? The devil you know is better than the devil you don't. She makes an effort to tell me her whereabouts. I feel bad because of my inability to put it behind me is unfair to her. But, on the other hand, how can I fully forgive what I am not aware of? She really hasn't demonstrated signs of remorse, or at least to the degree I think she should. She has never apologized on her own. It would mean a lot if, out of the blue, she apologized. I need to hear her tell me what she believes I went through. I want to know how she was affected by my actions. She works for a construction company handling HR and payroll along with accounts payable and many other things. She is surrounded by men. It worries me that I will screw up and some man will be able to take advantage of the situation. It is hurtful to hear her carry on with some of the men. It isn't anything improper, but it's a trigger. Set aside the things caused by the past, there is a lot of good. She really helps out with family things. My mom is unable to host the holiday dinner gatherings. Marie is a secret weapon when someone needs something done. What is really spooky is that I will be thinking of something and she will ask me about the same thing a couple of minutes later. How do I turn away from that? All I want to do is get past this and for her to not be afraid to talk to me. We don't fully trust each other, and that is the price of infidelity. You either have to scrap the marriage or live with the scars. I really do love her, and I started out wanting to give her a great life. I still do. I hope that one day she can tell me the things that I want to know and ask me anything she might want to know. I would love to try and build a life and or bedroom on intimate knowledge and trust. I have carried this shame and hurt for nearly 20 years. I am so tired. Hopefully this will help me get this out and move forward in a better frame of mind. Thank you all for listening to today's episode. Before we close, Dylan wanted to share one final critical piece of context with everyone. Before the affair, Dylan was carrying a tremendous amount of hurt. He revealed that Marie didn't seem to care about his son from his first marriage. In his eyes, all she had to do was get along with his son, but her refusal to do so became the root cause of the majority of disagreements in their marriage. To cope, Dylan began to retreat. He started working longer hours, spending time fishing, and essentially ignoring her. And that is when she had the affair. Dylan admits wholeheartedly that there are things he could have done better as a husband, but he encapsulated the pain of that betrayal by quoting Rambo, "She drew first blood." It is a powerful reminder of just how deeply complicated these stories can be. It is so incredibly hard to see each other's perspective after an affair has happened. Usually, each person just points the finger at the other, but truly everyone needs to look at themselves concerning their marriage. It takes 100% from each person to succeed, and that is a very hard thing to do. I want to be clear, though, this isn't about excusing or justifying an affair. It's about recognizing that a marriage doesn't break down in a vacuum. Before we point all blame at someone else, we have to look at our own reflection, too. If you want to hear how Dylan's journey continues, remember that his deeply personal update drops on Patreon this summer. You can sign up right now through the link on our website and take advantage of our free 7-day trial. As I always say, we wouldn't have this show without your incredible support and vulnerability. If you are an unfaithful woman or a man who has been betrayed, please visit rawtruthpodcasts.com to submit your story completely anonymously. Thank you for spending your time with me today. I'll talk to you next time on Raw Truth Stories of Female Infidelity when we hear Desiree's story. Goodbye. As I mentioned in Heather's update, my husband and I actually met up with Dylan during our trip to Disney. Holy shit, there is no Disney. I got Disney on the brain. Now, since this... But for now, let's get into today's... We have had some arguments, and... There have been a few times I have... I have to deal with the doubts and basically wallow in what was happened. Searched it and found that PTSD affects... I do regret the reflenge. Did you tell anyone about the trip after the fact? But little things she does that mean nothing are trigger. Did Marie ever say she went through with the affair? Why she went through the affair? Fuck. I don't know where the PTSD stops or where shifting from midlife. I don't know where the PTSD stops or where shifting from midlife post... Fuck. Damn. I only have 1 or 2 every 3 months. I have 1 every 2 or 3 months. Shit. I have to try and block out the intrusive thoughts and mental illnesses. Shit. Images. Dylan admits wholehearted. It is so incredible. It is so incredibly hard to see each other's perspectives after... Holy cow.